No, that was, it was, well, because in the Bernie era, there was no real investment in social media. There was, the philosophy then was, why would I, Bernie Ecclestone, just give all this content to platforms that aren't paying for it? I'm giving it for free, which makes no sense financially. And looking back, if anyone actually looks at that and asks that question, it doesn't make sense. But it's now, everyone realizes it's a fan engagement piece.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Track Limits podcast. I'm your host, Swish. I'm with my co-hosts, Henny and Effie. Today, we have a rerun. We messed up the first time recording this episode, so we're going to do it again. But there's no better guest to do it again than with the legendary Dylan Stewart.
Woo,
welcome back.
Let's go.
Legendary is definitely an oversell.
No, legendary. Founder of Social Steering, person who ran the F1 account. I mean, come on. There's so many accolades that we're going to go over.
Yeah.
Legendary is the best way to put it, I think.
I know you guys, I know the format of the show, and I know it's, okay, you're going to rate everything now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I know we can't start off legendary because then it's not going to build.
I think you had a green, a Gurple, I think.
Yeah, he got a Gurple. No, he got a green, then Gurple, then purple for the last.
And then we failed.
Yeah.
And then we got a red flag.
So we're going to call that like a FIA stewards.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah,
failure.
decision.
Decision.
We'll rerun this, but I think it's
None of
gonna
us
go
got
even better.
fired though.
Yeah, no one got fired.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know,
It's almost like the boss.
yeah. We got an insider look.
Amazing. Well, you know the drill, but just for our viewers who might be tuning in, Q1, where we're going to go over racing-related questions. We then go into Q2. We're going to dive more into you as a professional, kind of work-life balance, how you as an operator continue to do what you do every day. And then finally, the rapid-fire round.
Oh.
I can't wait to do this again. Are you ready to get into Q1?
Fire up.
All right, here we go. So right now, tell us a little bit about your career in 30 seconds. Looking back now at everything you've done, summarize what you've done for us, the accomplishments that you're the most proud of.
So starting out, my career was with Formula One, coming in there when it had just been taken over by Liberty Media and luckily given the keys to the Formula One social media accounts. So there was nothing before, and we thankfully, with a very, very good team, were able to build it out to becoming the fastest growing and the most engaged sport in the world. So beating out the likes of the UFC, Premier League, NFL, Champions League. And then after 5 seasons with Formula One, I then left to go build up my own business, Social Steering. And from there, we've taken on clients like Alpine F1 team and other members of the paddock in Formula One, as well as a couple other sports. But yeah, that's
all motorsport kind of related?
Mostly motorsports, yes. But then we've also branched out to a couple of other sports, brands, and some who have nothing to do with sports at all. But they're great companies to work with.
Very cool. And what does the day-to-day life for Dylan look like? Are you traveling a lot? Like, what is your day-to-day life right now?
Day-to-day life, yes, is quite a bit of travel. Heavily on, sales, and also making sure that all existing clients are very happy with what's going out. Because while it's great to bring on new people, if someone's not happy, then you shot yourself in the foot. And that's who if you can't put any of your existing clients in front of a new client and say, look, this is our track record, then you really haven't done a good job.
Right. And when you were running, the F1 account, what years was that again? 2017?
2017 until 21.
Till 21.
No Bernie era. You were in the...
No, that was, it was, because in the Bernie era, there was no real investment in social media. There was, the philosophy then was, why would I, Bernie Ecclestone, just give all this content to platforms that aren't paying for it? I'm giving it for free, which makes no sense financially. And looking back, if anyone actually looks at that and asks that question, it doesn't make sense. But it's now, everyone realizes it's a fan engagement piece. That's just the world we live in. Unfortunately for rights holders, you have to give away some of it to get people interested, because there's so much to compete with and everyone else is giving away a little bit for free that you've got to throw something out there that's going to lure people in.
Yeah.
And when you were running that account, like, do you recall the most hectic time for you personally running that account? Like, was it 2017 when you first came, 2019, 2021?
It was definitely the first year, because everything was from scratch. There were a ton of things that we wanted to do. Everyone's asking the question, okay, so what's going to get people looking at this platform? What's going to get them engaged? What's going to get them subscribed? And you kind of had to say, well, need to do all these different things. It was very easy answers, really. And it's like if you said, all right, the Premier League isn't doing anything, or the NFL hasn't put any content out ever. So what should they put out? Well, the first answer is, all right, you want the best touchdowns, the best intercepts, the best tackles. Formula One, it was best overtakes, best crashes, best moments from the race, showing things side by side, comparing, fastest lap, all those little stories that we care about. And that was, okay, now let's put logistics in there, secure media rights, because our media rights team previously had just known that they were not going to put anything on social media. It was very straightforward. Then it became, all right, now that we want to put stuff on social media, what's the accepted allowance? So are we going to be able to say, okay, we can put up 1 minute, 2 minutes? So luckily we managed to secure 10 minutes per race within, so delayed by 1 hour and then running for 24 hours. We could use 10 minutes of track footage. So anything that had been out on the international feed. Then once we'd hit that 24-hour period, we could use an additional 10 minutes kind of throughout the year, which really isn't that much. But it's also quite a lot when you think about, okay, how much action really happens in a race. So some races, you're kind of not really worried about that 10-minute.
But crash. Oh, great. There we go.
Exactly. Yeah. Some races you go, okay, we are up against the limits. We are trying to figure out how, because the highlights package we put out on YouTube and Facebook is about 6-7 minutes long.
Highlights,
yeah. And so once you've kind of got to that point, you're going, okay, well, that leaves, if someone wants to use a onboard or a whole lap, you're going, that's a healthy chunk. So, or two onboards, like if you do top and bottom and comparing people's laps, you're going, well, those are, you got to count that each separately. Yeah, because that's
you're pulling it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
so
what why they don't do it on every race, because I follow like the F1's lap comparisons. They don't always like post side by side laps.
Exactly. Well, sometimes it's editorial, other times it's rights. So these are the kind of things that we want to see more on social media, because one, it's free, and two, that's where we are most of the time anyway.
Right.
So but a lot of the time it's just a question of rights.
And is that the same for F1 archives? So like pulling it from like different eras?
No. So archive, you're good. You can use as much as you want. We can rerun races.
Wow. Okay.
So we did lockdown times. We reran a couple races. And again, we did like a fan votes, which race do you want to see the most? And we show that this week, and every whatever day it was of the week, we'd we'll put out another race. But yeah, so archive stuff, that's where like, all right, what can we do here that makes it look interesting? I think one of the most watched videos we've ever put out actually was an archive piece of content. It was celebrating the 60 years of Formula One. No, so 70 years of Formula One.
Okay.
Sorry. And so it was in 2020.
Yeah.
And it was a video I thought like showing like a pit stop now and then would be really cool.
Yeah.
What's the oldest pit stop we can find?
Oh wow.
And so we found an old video.
Do you remember from where? Like 19?
Oh, it was no, because we didn't have footage from that era.
Yeah.
So rights to have footage.
Right.
This is another whole conversation, but F1 doesn't have all the rights to all the archive footage. They're trying to bring it all together, but it simply doesn't have it all.
Right.
So in the, I think it was 70 something or very early 80s.
Yeah.
Pit stop of tires refueling,
Fuels,
everything,
yeah.
And you see that video playing, and you have the car from 2020 or 2019 coming in for a pit stop as well, and it in and out gone.
Yeah.
And then the other one's still running, and it's playing at the same time. You're going, oh wow, you really see how much of a difference these pit stops make. It's obviously, we know, now today you look at a race and you go, oh, someone's taken 3 seconds.
Pathetic.
Yeah.
Useless. Yeah. And you're going back, oh, we are really harsh judges.
But going back to the media rights topic, have you ever personally taken down an account that's like outside of football?
No, never. That's okay. I can tell you, we talked off camera about many stories about this, but no, I was personally. I think we all in the social media team, we all loved fan accounts. Like we all were inspired by them. We thought, oh, this is great. Like this is actually, sometimes fan accounts will come up with things we hadn't even thought of.
Yeah.
And so and this is a hobby or a passion. No one's really making money at this point from F1 fan accounts.
Yep.
And we were looking at it thinking, wow, that's a really good idea, or that's an interesting story, or something they picked up on that we hadn't even noticed or had time to put together. And for me, I would have even more fan accounts, because that means if you're all talking about this stuff, then you're good. I actually at one point wanted to create I was calling it the F1 Creator Network. And I was going to have a number of accounts that were stamped, verified by Formula One. We're like, they're part of us. If we technically acquired these accounts, then we would be allowed to actually post content on there, because it's Formula One's account. It's an owned account. We're allowed to use Formula One footage on these accounts, so there wouldn't be any rights issues. Sadly, never really got to see the light of day, but everyone.
It would be such a cool idea.
I know.
Everyone totally loved it, but it was one of those things. It just, powers that be, just couldn't green light it, because I think it would just annoy broadcasters too much.
I like the way some of the American sports operate. Like NBA allows fans to post like the match footage.
I actually remember
and stuff.
being in an elevator with Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, and the one question I asked him, it was at this Wall Street Journal event. I was like, why do you think that the NBA is growing so much quicker globally than the NFL? And obviously there's a bunch of reasons why, but one of the biggest reasons he mentioned was we allow anybody to post content about anything. Like, as long as you're crediting the NBA account, as long as you're crediting ESPN, Turner Sports, whatever it is, they're fine with it. But if you have an NFL account, they'll take you down right away. Even if you credit them, they'll take you down right away.
And it's it's not always to do with the league itself, the rights holder. It's sometimes to do with the broadcaster, someone who's going, look, we're paying so much money for this. And ultimately, it's one person's decision if they get to say yes or no. And if it's a no, then that just translates down to everyone else.
Right.
But no, in Formula One, we can't. Well, we can't officially say, well, I'm not with F1 anymore. So
spill the beans.
They can't say they turn a blind eye, but it's impossible to actually track all these things. Like, they use a company to help take down accounts. Which,
I know.
Exactly.
It's like, I had a meeting with them.
You've been knocking on your door a little bit.
They have like some country name in them, because whenever I got taken down, it's by like, maybe we have to beep something Sports India.
No.
Everyone is taken down by them.
Interesting. Okay, no. So what's probably happened there is they're an account or an agency working for a media rights holder based in India. And then they are taking down accounts that they see infringing rights, because people in those in their country are looking at content from your account, even if you're coming from the Netherlands or from Istanbul or from the UK, wherever you are in the world.
Right.
But because again, content or platforms don't really geo-block content. They just kind of let it go out masses. I think Facebook's the only one that really properly geo-restricts if you put in the settings.
Right.
So that's the...
And that's maybe you guys taking down accounts. Have teams ever approached you and said, hey, take that down? Like, what was this video you guys shared, or what was this photo you guys shared?
They've said that, yes, but there's never been anything like they say, like, oh, look what this fan's doing. That's not right. There's never that. They'll come to Formula One directly and say, we don't like that. And so, but only if it kind of comes from a driver or they feel like they're being attacked. So you've got, I think one example we used last time we had this conversation was Red Bull. So Red Bull flagged, Max had a crash in Monaco, and it was right by the swimming pool, and it was coming out through the chicane. He just clipped the inside and then went straight to the pool. It was unfortunate. He happened to make the exact same accident at the exact same corner the following year.
Right.
And so F1 just kind of reflected that. It wasn't that was actually a rule. We would never stoke things up, would never try and create a narrative. It was just reflect. And so it was reflecting, look, we're not drawing if it's good or bad, we're just pointing out that this happened last year and it's happened again now. So Max had seen it, and look, he just had a shunt. He felt like F1 was taking a jab at him. Fair enough. I probably feel like the same way. And he's pissed off, like, take this down. This is stupid. And so they reached out. Of course, they have to relay how upset he is, and they'll tell us, like, can't believe you did this. This is wrong. This is wrong. And we was kind of, oh, sorry. Like,
Are you guys in the middle of the race while this is happening? Like, is the race still happening? Like, the weekend is going on, and
no, because we can't post content during the race. So as soon as checkered flag goes down, you have to wait 1 hour before we can post footage.
Got it.
And then say we.
They.
And once they've done it for that 1 hour period, then you can post as much or within the rights restrictions.
Well, let's talk about the 2021 end of season. It's a very hot topic. You know, how did you and your team deal with that pressure of, you know, staying in control, controlling the narrative, also making sure that it's neutral? How did that go?
Well, actually, the tone that F1 has to set is they're a rights holder, and they're not journalists. It's only supposed to reflect what happened. So when that's when like that happens, there's an instant, okay, we know this is going to be controversial. Now there was the added pressure of the fact that Max had just been crowned champion. So there was a bit of we need to be celebrating the fact that there's a new champion. Like, it's not Formula One's place to say this is right or wrong. FIA gets to tell you who does the rules. So F1 has to kind of say, look, this is what's happened. Max is the new world champion, exclamation mark. But you don't go above that. You don't go, how incredible was this last lap? Look at this moment. And because that's how we would sell it if there wasn't the controversy.
Exactly.
Because you then have to hype him up a bit. Like, he is the world champion. This is the pinnacle. This is it. Every driver in the world works towards. So, basically, it's just a case of, look, let's be a little bit more subtle here. Let's not post quite as many things. But I tell you what, engagement from that weekend was pretty incredible.
That's probably the biggest you've probably seen.
I mean, every year gets bigger. So, I mean, now you get the numbers you see on Instagram are,
If you post like straight after the race, like even if I post like my feed next to a car, it gets
bombarded.
A lot of likes. Like whatever you post, you don't even need to be picky.
No, that is when everyone's most engaged, and they're like, okay, great content. Like, whatever you put out, they're gonna bite.
Even this past season, when Max had that controversy with Checo and not letting him pass in Brazil, I looked at the post that he last shared, and that, oh my god, I think to date has over 150,000 comments now. Of everybody just being like, how dare you, like, you know, Viva, like, come on, vamos.
Checo,
Oh my god. What are your honest thoughts about Drive to Survive? I know that's on the other end of the content that's being produced, but they love to stir up the drama and create a story.
That's their job, though. Their target audience is not the existing Formula One fans. Their job is to say, look how exciting the sport is. Look at these other narratives. Look at these stories. There's all this. I mean, it's a reality show basically, and we mean Love Island is one of the biggest reality shows in the world. Like, we all know it's a complete scam.
To be honest, I didn't know what it was until they told me today, and I'm like, Love Island.
So you really have to be mindful of that when you're on that side of Formula One. And of course, not everyone's going to like it. What show does everybody like ever? That's even Game of Thrones. So all just couldn't stand it. A lot of people hated the ending.
Oh God!
Don't remind us.
But there, you see, like, it's people talk about it. And that was the goal of the show. Was find a way to get people talking about Formula One who aren't talking about it right now. I mean, Ford has just been announced as a new engine partner for Red Bull. They're back in the sport after over 20 years. Like, that's a pretty huge moment, right? That wouldn't have happened without Drive to Survive.
100%.
I think anyone in the Formula One world would disagree with that. Because the engagement, I mean, now I see my friends in the US who are not what you would call a typical Formula One fan. Formula One fans typically are nerds. Slightly nerds. Like, I just said right out the gate. Like,
God damn.
We all know. Like, we geek out over. I'm not sure about that livery, the air, what's going on the nose on that car.
Front wing.
Exactly. And now you're having this conversation with some young girl who's not really ever watched Formula One before, never watched it with a family, but picked it up because of Drive to Survive. And you're going,
Excuse?
Sorry, hold on a second. It's not the demographic you're used to talking about Formula 1 with.
100%.
Yeah, normally you engage like the your dad's friends or your parents' friends, and that's who you're like, oh yeah, what? I miss when Button was on the podium. Oh, some great racing. Oh, like Virgin Racing. They were. No, so yeah, Drive to Survive, I an incredible job.
Yeah,
and I mean, it's fair to say, would this podcast be here without Drive to Survive?
100%. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
Half of our team caught on during the Drive to Survive era.
And a big part of our audience is trying to go after people in Canada and the US, again, where that popularity has just surged because of Drive to Survive.
Exactly. Like Lance Stroll's popularity just keeps
God.
I'm being...
I forget he's Canadian.
Yeah.
I think, actually, I'll say it here. Like, I think Lance gets a tough rap.
He does. He's a good driver.
He's a very good driver.
But he just has some really questionable moments. You know, and I do feel like that awareness.
Yeah, that
is a
could be
big
said
issue
for other drivers.
I mean,
yeah, but like some of his, like not looking into his mirrors, like that is actually valid. Like the amount of times it's happened, like twice in Australia. The pole position that he had in Turkey, though, in his rookie season, I was saying is like one of the best qualifying laps I've ever seen.
Or him in rain. I don't get it.
Him and Latifi actually both
in the rain.
Yeah. No, so yeah, I would say I'd stick my neck out for both of those Canadian drivers.
Yeah.
Both very good people. Again, we obviously, on the other side of all of it, always see a very different. We see things through kind of glasses of like, we don't see how hard they've worked, all the tough things in the way. Yes, look, Formula 1's not a sport you get into just by being really, really good at something and it just happens. Yeah, like football, you've got to bring money to the table. I mean, Nick de Vries even recently, there's news about some sort of loan thing. In fairness, I haven't dug into it too much, but you see, like, look, everyone has to find a way to fund the sport. Yeah, like it's a risk, and it's why you look at so many failed racing drivers trying to get into, there's such a long list of failed racing drivers. Like everyone who's tried getting into Formula 1 and hasn't quite got there, you've only got a handful of homes to land in. You've got Formula E, now kind of Extreme E, Indy, NASCAR, Endurance. Yeah, thank you. Clients in there, so
shout out.
Yes, please.
Joe Sport,
Sport, and Racing Gold account as well.
There we go. We'll put them at the bottom.
Yeah,
thank you. They'll love me for that.
Yes, we got you.
And yeah, it's tough. Like you look at and making a good living in terms of like a return investment plus being, let's call it, comfortable in life.
Yeah.
Like you are really shooting for the stars in motorsports.
Okay, last few questions to wrap up Q1. I mean, in terms of any red tape when it came to posting on the F1 account, I am curious, were you able to also modernize a lot of the content that they were sharing? Like, were you able to incorporate memes, for example?
I like how you're going into that question like we haven't. It's very organic thing.
Memes?
Yeah, memes. Yeah, so prior to joining the F1 team, I mean, the content was, entirely photographs. There was no video. So were very beautiful, almost borderline artsy photos, but it was just a kind of an update of what's happened in the race, and that was it. They were just photographs. Yeah. So in fairness, you could have posted anything after that, and it would have just done well. But once we kind of had started to like upgrade and modernize the feed, we then got to the point where we were saying, okay, now what else can we do? And memes were an obvious piece to look at. Yep. But you want to do it in the right way. And I was initially thinking like, oh, like let's just trial something out. Let's do it as almost a joke post, and then it kind of developed into something more where we should be doing memes more often. And I remember going through all the different steps of trying to get approval from everyone to say, look, this is a different type of piece of content we want to put out, and it's not what you're used to, but I'm really used to memes. Yeah. So like this is very, and trust me, they're all really used to memes as well. They're going to love this stuff. And so we kind of put something together with kind of F1 branding on there, and it looks like now a Formula 1 meme. And so we put this up, and oh my God, fans went nuts. Yeah. And I think it's kind of hopefully helped shape the meme culture in Formula 1.
Yeah. You guys were the one that posted the De Vries where Carlos Sainz was like debris, or on the radio someone called
Yes,
it. That was too funny. That was hilarious.
So yeah, I mean, it's memes are such a good way to communicate in social media.
Yeah.
You can't do that on television; it doesn't translate.
No.
But you can do it very easily on social.
Look at what Ryanair and all those companies are doing on TikTok. You know.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Or Twitter. Have you seen their Twitter feed?
Yeah, they just like
Oh, my
people
God.
complain and they're like, "You're still gonna fly with us."
Yeah. They're
You can
absolute
post whatever you
savages.
want.
Yeah,
mean-
they're likable.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the whole point of social media.
Yep.
Is to bring people into your brand. It's not a direct, okay, if you look at our brand on social media, you're now going to buy our product. It's like, that doesn't really work like that.
Right.
What does work, though, is it's a big net you throw out there. You kind of have people talking about you, look at you and get looking forward to that next post.
Yeah.
And then you can start to sell them on whatever it is you're trying to put them in. If it's a clothing brand, you're like, okay, sell the lifestyle, but don't just post about the clothes and how great they look. Show them in action. Show them doing something. It's make it relatable and be unique. If you're not doing that, then
Very neat. Final question to wrap up Q1. Tell us a little bit about your decision to leave F1 and kind of then when you were starting Social Steering, like what is your vision for that company? So why'd you leave F1 and where do you want to see this company, Social Steering?
So decided to leave F1 because I'd been there for a little while and it was a fantastic project to be involved with. And it was kind of like, look, I've done the story already.
Yeah.
I've already hit that high point of we've made this thing from zero to hero. So what's the next challenge? And it would have essentially been kind of repeating the same thing over and over again. And like, okay, we're doing it well. I mean, the account's not going to evolve that much more unless a ton more money gets put into it. Like you look at a whole number of social media accounts and you say they actually spend more money on their social media production than we do.
Yeah.
And they're much smaller brands, but they're actually making much more money from their because and F1, to be honest, was not ready to start gearing up for that next step. So, and I had a number of people knocking on my door saying, "Hey, look, could you come help us out with our project, with our social media?" And I'd said no for years, and then it's kind of like, all right, well, you know what? It's kind of about time.
Yeah.
And yeah, the goal now is to try and turn it into something that's much bigger, where we have our own IP, we're building out our own events or our own shows, and then to be able to kind of say, look, we're a whole value offering here, not just to manage your account, but look, we can convert that into a real community for you, or making our own things as well, because otherwise you are completely at the behest of clients.
Cool.
And if a recession comes, then we're buggered.
Yeah. Knock on
Army
wood.
off.
Yeah.
It's fine wood.
Amazing. Well, that wraps up Q1. Henny, verdict?
That's a solid green.
Green?
That was
Better than
smooth.
last time?
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
That was.
Okay. Effie, you feeling good? Yeah?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
all good.
All right.
As you see, it's green.
We'll change it
Yeah.
to purple.
Yeah. If it goes bad, you guys can just dim it down to yellow.
Yeah, it's like,
no. All right. Well, that wraps up Q1. Hey guys, if you like what you're seeing, hit that subscribe button right now. We really are excited about the community we're building. We have a lot more content we want to share, and we'd love for you to be the first one to find out about it. Welcome back to the Track Limits interview with Dylan Stewart. We're getting into Q2 now. Dylan, you ready for Q2?
Let's do it.
Okay, we're going to take you all the way back.
Hey, he's not that old.
Yeah.
All the way back.
70 years back.
Way back when.
Yeah. We'll take you back to college. We'll take you back to college. You went to Duke.
Yep.
Right? Duke University in America, one of the best basketball programs in the country. Right?
Absolutely.
Did you become a basketball fan through that?
Oh, you have to. It's kind of like going to Manchester and not being a United or City fan. Yeah.
Amazing. But tell us, what did you study? Did you have this idea to, get into social media when you were in college? The origin story for Dylan, how did that kind of all come about in college?
Well, to answer that question immediately, I had zero clue when I arrived, and I almost had zero clue still by almost the end. I got very lucky, and I had a professor, a guy called Jed Simmons, who he was at Turner Networks, and so he was running Cartoon Network for them, and that was at the time where they put out, so he was in charge of Cartoon Network while they made Johnny Bravo and the Powerpuff Girls.
Hey.
So
Saturday.
so again, he did it, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And then from there, he went to go work at YouTube to be head of content over there. And anyway, he was actually a motorsports fan. And he and I kind of hit it off, but I only kind of met him on a very chance encounter of literally meeting him like one afternoon. And he said to me, "Oh, would you be interested in coming over to our rival university and taking a class over there for the semester?" I'm thinking like, wow, I mean, yeah, this sounds pretty like interesting. Like I'd rather do this than just another class, pass time, go party and have fun. I'd like, no, I'm here for a reason. I want to like learn. I want to engage. I want to do something different. And what this actually interests me. So his class was all about the media world. So we covered everything from Spotify, its inception, to Netflix, to this was almost at the start of podcasting really taking a rise, or even going into the media world, covering like cryptocurrencies.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
It was really kind of on the money. Like, look, this is what's happening in this digital media world. And anyways, I'm still in contact with him today.
Amazing.
And I have a very good relationship with him. And it's kind of I got lucky. It's like one of those relations with professors you kind of see in the films where they're mentoring you, looking out for you, telling you like, I
can text them anytime.
Yeah, exactly. So I got very lucky. And I know not many people don't really have that.
No.
So anyway, yeah, he kind of steered me to the thought of, if you enjoy media, just go do it.
Yeah.
And my brain, all right, great.
This is it.
Yeah. So it was a very good experience over there. America do college very well.
Yeah.
It's pricey, but if you can afford it and if you get a scholarship for it as well, then it's a great investment. Because it's kind of the most premium product. So unless you're going to do like an Oxford or Cambridge, which comes with such a huge history, the network you get, because they're Americans, are really friendly when it comes to, hey, you should be my buddy.
Canadians are even better.
Canadian, you're right. Yeah. I haven't spent enough time in Canada. That's my problem. So yeah, they're great about introducing you to people who you would almost pay a commission to meet, or you'd have to give them some vested interest in you. Whereas they're just like, oh, hey, meet my friends. They run this. You guys are going to hit it off. Yeah. Well, no cash?
What's the catch here?
Yeah.
Venmo?
And yeah, it's, again, I always wanted to go to the US. I thought that's a great place to learn. And I mean, I'm very, very lucky that I was able to do it. So,
wow. What about any advice for people who wants to pursue a career like yours in the media industry around mainly motorsports because of the audience? But what advice would you give them?
The best piece of advice, what I say, well, one, start creating content on your account.
Yep.
Because one, there's no real penalty for doing it. There's no real cost other than your time. And you're going to learn so much because you're going to see what actually engages people.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, and then two is give your time to other people. Because that's one thing we're short of in the motorsports world is people who are good and affordable. So it's a case of like, look, just we're a network of people out there who are very unformally attached. So we all follow the same accounts. We all are very aware of different people, but because it's motorsports, there's some kind of like invisible wall where people think, oh, you can't approach them. They're this, they're that. It's just a company. It's just a sport. It's just a brand. Like, ultimately, all these things are just people behind all of them, and there's nothing special about them. It's just they happen to know some things that you'd like to know, and you can learn them if you spend time around them. If you can just go work with them, do something even for free. I mean, the amount of projects we've done, I shouldn't say this out loud too much, but for free, and we won't do it anymore. For other for people, and just saying, look, do this. It's just going to help you guys get off the ground, and it's just led to more business coming in for us because, one, they realize how valuable that was for them. So you take the same philosophy. You go, look, if you're young, interested in motorsports, interested in media, find a brand that needs some help and say, hey, can I help you out with this? I think what you're doing is great, or I think you should do this. They say, like, look, I'd love to come by sometime, no cost, just I'd love to be around and helping you guys.
Right.
It's much easier to sell doing that than, can you pay me for it too? And they're going, what have you done before? I haven't done anything yet.
Yes.
Okay, it's catch-22. So just start chicken and egg, just make one of them.
Yeah. And by the way, what was, let me take you back to when you were an intern at Red Bull. What was that experience like for you?
That was fantastic. I got again, so my background is in motorsports. My family were all motorsports. And so I grew up right next to the factory. And I mean, for me, it was people who see me helping when I was a little boy. And so when I was old enough to be able to go and start doing an internship there, they were kind of like, oh, I remember you. I held you once before.
It's like, now you're this big.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah, great. So you'd have that conversation, like 5 times a week.
Wow.
And it was before they had like an internship program. So it was kind of getting put into one area. Like, here's this kid. He's going to be with you for next week. I'm like, and then me coming along there, like everyone buttoned up, looks smart, ready. Okay, what do they need me to do? And like, okay, well, we're building this part of the car today. Here, just follow it. Basically, it's grown-up Lego. If you're in like sub-assembly, for example, and you're building, I mean, you can't get it wrong. Don't forget like a wishbone, or don't forget a bearing or whatever you've got to put on there. But you really get to see, okay, how this car is made. And it's, I mean, honestly, one of the coolest experiences ever. And now there's a formal internship program. I think almost all teams do it. And I mean, if you get the chance to do it, it's a life-changing experience, because you look at the cars in a brand new level of appreciation. And I actually, the first year I did it was just after Weber had his incident going up in the air and straight into one Valencia. And so they had the chassis in the factory though. Right.
I can inspect it.
And so then they showed me his brake pedal, and he'd been pushing so hard on the brakes that he had actually snapped the pedal in half. Which is, again, one of those weird little stories that you've probably never heard before, because who's actually seen it and
the report
tell the story back, because no one tells a journalist that thing. But yeah, it's you really understand how much work goes in these cars, how they're closer to arts than they are art and machinery.
Well, and when it came to even kind of picking your career within the motorsport world, like you mentioned, you do come from a family, your granddad, 3-time world champion, your dad is obviously a former race owner. I mean, did you ever think, maybe I want to be a driver? Like, I want to potentially get in the cockpit and drive one of these kind of awesome, beautiful machines? Or was that not
the older I get, the more I think like that. But so I've got 3 younger brothers. And you always hear in the media like how much motorsports costs to get into. There's always all these commissions that are being set up now to try and figure out why certain people aren't getting into the sport. And it is insanely expensive to become a Formula One driver. And also, like I said earlier, the risk of what you become if you don't become a successful Formula One driver is like, there's not much of a safety net. So, and what are your skills if you don't become a successful racing driver? You know how to drive a car really well. You've got no schooling background. You
can become an Uber driver.
You can become a great Uber driver, but
Uber driver.
But then you took a couple of speeding tickets. That's it.
It's over.
So, my dad became very sick, which is kind of part of the reasons he sold his team. So his thing then was also wanting to spend more time around us, and because he had the very real realization of that there could be another man raising his kids. So it was a pretty horrible feeling to have for him. And he then, is now probably the happiest of all his friends in the world, who have 10 times more cash than our family will ever have. But because he spends time exactly how he wants to, still works hard on different projects, but kind of gets to be a bit more selective in what he wants to do. So, it was while it would have been great to be a racing driver, you had to take a kid and just push them into sport. No matter how much they want to do it organically, you still have to be a pushy parent. Every single F1 driver has a parent who's behind them 150%, who is just go. All right, when's the next race is hit? Because a kid at 10 years old doesn't know how to say, okay, so the race is here, we need to get there.
Google Maps.
Maybe in this era, they'll with their phones.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. Like Joss with Max or Lewis's dad. I mean, I think most of the drivers credit their fathers actually for taking them out of the track and pushing them even when they didn't want to.
Yeah. Because again, you have to almost in some ways neglect the other siblings because, I mean, you can't physically spend that much time. Like you say, we've got a race. Got a race on Saturday and a race on Sunday. So you drive there on a Friday. Okay, got to drive there Friday. Are we going to stay there Sunday? No, we're going to drive back down. Okay, so and then you got school Monday morning. Okay, I've got work then. And that's just one child. Yeah. Imagine trying to do it for 2 or 3. I've got 3 younger brothers, so that's a non-starter.
What's your fondest memory with your dad or your grandfather, or even a story that it's not out in the public that they've told you when they were either owning a team or racing?
There was one, a great story actually. I think my dad's tells a story. It was when, I can't remember what Grand Prix it was, but I think it was right just as Stewart Grand Prix was starting. And there was, I think it was the first race of the year, and there was like a disaster of like things hadn't arrived in time, parts were breaking down, engines were blowing up.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, it were things that back then also you like only used one engine per session.
Yeah.
So you just cycling things in and out. They weren't built to be
sustainable.
Exactly. Yeah. And anyway, so my dad, I mean, stress levels through the roof, and he had, probably like the potential of losing the whole team, because if you can't deliver and you can't compete in races, then you're really not going to be able to get money from sponsors or get championship money. There's a very 1-to-1 ratio on that. Anyway, at this peak moment of stress, George Harrison starts walking down the pit lane and is waving to my dad, like, "Hey, Paul," and he's got a ukulele in his hand.
Oh, God.
He's just like,
the last thing you want to
see. Yeah, not right now.
Yeah, and he was like, okay, as a good little reminder of, okay, step away, let's think about this thing properly. And he helped kind of, get him back on track. But it's just
to him.
Yeah, it was cool little moments. Again, he was a massive F1 fan, so he was around the paddock quite a lot. But there's, so many cool little stories. Actually, I'm trying to think of another good one I could tell you guys. There was, I can tell this one.
Okay.
So I forget which Grand Prix it was, but my grandfather had invited Steve Jobs to, in early Apple days.
Oh, wow.
To come along to a Grand Prix. And so he wasn't the celebrity like power that we know today, but Japan really loved technology, and they really knew who he was, well before we knew him in the West almost.
Yeah. Right.
So one Grand Prix, I think it's in Italy, Steve Jobs was asking the question, so what radio frequency is everyone else on? And so my grandfather explains, we don't really know, it's a secret, they don't tell us.
Oh, wow.
And he goes, okay. So he walks out, goes to the bathroom, and follows 2 of the Honda guys, knowing that they're going to clock him. And so goes to the bathroom, and then they're like, "Oh my God, Mr. Jobs! It's an honor to meet you." With my hands first. Sorry,
bathroom. Can you imagine?
And so he just kind of innocently asked the question. So what radio frequency are you guys on? I'd love to listen in. It's, we're on this radio frequency. Wow. And so he comes back from the bathroom and says, "They're on this radio frequency." So okay, you can't do that, but thank you.
What, some engineer in the back? He's like,
another Spygate.
No, Spygate.
Yeah. Oh, God.
But the thing about in motorsports is you'll have so many of these stories because, back then it was easier. It was more analog. So you could change the radio frequency.
And catch it.
Yeah, catch it. Now you've got your own satellites.
Network,
Yeah.
fiber.
Yeah,
So-
I was at the Mercedes factory and we had the chance to watch it in the operations room. The conversations that were going like behind the scenes that isn't like broadcasting. It's mad. Like I don't know how everyone kind of hears each other.
Yeah. It's nuts
Yeah.
because the interesting thing about Formula 1 is you only have two real choices as strategists. Is one, when to pit, and two, what tires to put on. That's the only real call you've got.
Yeah.
The rest is all up to the driver. So the fact that there are that many conversations going on is impressive. You think, okay, what are they're trying to optimize? You see how quickly it goes wrong in Formula 1 if you get the wrong time. Just talk to Ferrari.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a big thing for kind of two real decisions to be made. But it can flip a whole race. When you look at the number of times, was it Hungary 2 years ago now, when everyone pitted on Lewis.
Yeah.
I mean,
On his own.
What a historic
That's
race.
my favorite moment.
I was there at the track, and I'm standing kind of at the far end of the paddock, so I'm looking at turns 2, 3,
Nice.
and I'm looking around. I'm like, okay, and I hear it, and they all go off, and I hit one car go. I think
What's happening?
I don't. As we were saying, like everyone's. We're looking at the track. We're like, oh, they're all idiots. Why are they all on inters or wets? Like, it's just clearly dry.
Yeah.
And then you see Lewis go around. We go, oh yeah, no, everyone has made that decision. Lewis is left out.
Yeah.
It's backfired so badly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good strategy makes a huge difference. That went from that's probably a pretty easy win to I don't know where he finished in that race, but I mean, actually, it's a Mercedes. It wasn't going to be that bad.
I think Esteban Ocon won that race.
I think you're right. Yes.
Esteban won that race.
He finished second after Vettel got disqualified.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he didn't do bad. But
Because Alonso, Alonso held him up.
if he finished first,
True
he would have won the
Alonso.
championship. So it's like
That's right. Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
And then what about like work-life balance for you? Like, do you feel like right now you have a lot of work-life balance, or do you feel like right now it's just pure work mode, traveling around a bunch, not really able to delineate between, hobbies and kind of what you're working on?
I'm lucky enough that I work in Formula 1 and media that work-life balance is work is quite fun.
Yeah.
So yes, of course, there are things but I'd rather someone else could do this.
Yeah.
But if you don't have that in life, you'd never appreciate the flip side of it. So you have to definitely pinch yourself a little bit being in motorsports and media. It's kind of a sweet spot of this is really fun.
Yeah.
So no, I if I ever complain about what's happening, it's because I need to vent and it's just a bit of therapy. But no, I love it.
Great.
talking about like you loving it. So I'm pretty sure you've been involved in the sport more years than I've been alive. Like thinking
He's not that old.
70 years.
Getting old. What's wrong with these two over here?
Justin, can you age me on camera as well? Like some grey hairs.
Yeah. But yeah, I've been covering it for 7 years and working like kind of like a full time for like 4 or 5, and like recently, especially in the last few years, it started to not entirely, but started to feel like work sometimes. And on some races, I just like can't be asked to watch the race on very rare occasions.
Yeah.
Do you get that? Is it like are you still like a fan? Or?
Still a fan of the sport, yeah. So there's a few parts to it. One, I know more things that are happening in the background than I would as just a regular fan. So that kind of makes me go, I really want to know what's going to happen here. Now, of course, we get boring races. And honestly, I think we have too many races right now. Like I do think that there's a certain amount of anticipation and want you should leave on the table, because that's ultimately what's going to get people really tuning in to the next couple of races and gives longevity to the sport. Because as much as we all do love Formula 1, and we're going to try and watch as many races as possible, I think we can all probably hold our hands up and say, we're not going to watch every race this year.
Yeah.
Because it's physically impossible at this point to lose that many weekends.
Yep.
You're saying like, I'm sorry, I've written every social event off on a Sunday. So
Who wants to watch Monaco as it is?
Sure.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
yeah.
Honestly, but things that Monaco does actually really produce great racing.
It really does it.
I think the cars.
The cars are way too big.
Too big.
Yeah.
But you always seem to have some sort of drama there lately.
That's true.
Yeah.
True.
Like the
Yeah.
racing, sorry,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
racing's bad, but there's
Yeah.
for some reason there's a bit of Monaco magic. That's
Yeah.
sprinkled
Last year
on.
was Charles trying to
Qualifying.
win,
Yeah,
Or even qualifying.
flying the
right?
rain during the race
Yeah,
and
yeah,
their
yeah.
debacle.
yeah.
Fair enough.
So yeah, and we always complain about Monaco, but they does deliver a fantastic race for some reason. We don't know why.
Yeah.
But to get the original question, you do have to pinch yourself repeatedly to be like, no, there's a reason why I wanted to be in the sport so badly. This is pretty great. And if you do find yourself kind of burning out a little bit, you just have to go, okay, like let's reset the clock a bit, have a little bit of like internal reflection on like, okay, why am I not loving this every second? Because I know I do. And if you step away from it, you'll go, I really wish I was back in Formula One.
Yeah, that's kind of what happens to the drivers that retire too.
Yeah, because I mean, you look at Schumacher, like the man left on top of the world and could have done anything he wanted after that. But there's nothing quite like driving an F1 car, being in that world. I don't think it's going to properly rival it as being in MotoGP. But those guys they have screws loose. Yeah,
Yeah, their adrenaline is unquestioned.
On a different level.
Yeah,
Literal different level. That's great. I think that wraps Q2.
Yeah.
Henny, where are we at now? What do you think?
we're heading towards a green purple Gerbil.
Gerbil?
It's a Gerbil.
I'm getting deja vu.
Yeah, it's like what is that
Where
word?
have we seen that before? Effie Gerbil?
Yeah, I'll give you a purple.
You'll give
Oh,
a purple.
that's
Oh,
nice.
okay.
I mean,
Hey.
coming back to the podcast for the second time, gotta deserve one. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, stay tuned. We're going to get into the rapid fire round shortly. Welcome back to the Track Limits podcast. As you can see, I've sitting up. Great start. The rapid fire round. We have gotten into Q3. We're now going to pepper Dylan with a bunch of questions, hopefully get some rapid answers that are full of fire. Dylan, you ready?
I'm going to give you actually quick answers.
Quick
this time.
answer.
All right,
Here we
all
go.
right,
All right.
let's do
First question. You have to choose one platform to post on forever. Which one would it be?
YouTube,
Which one would you delete from the big
Facebook,
ones?
gone.
Easy.
Who was the last person you texted?
Ooh.
Quick.
Going so slowly.
10.
9, 7. A friend who's probably I'm going to tonight asking what bottle they want me to bring.
No.
okay.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a little bit of a surprise
Okay.
after. But anyways, what regulation change would you institute? Double points in the last race? Like, for example.
I would have all drivers swapping cars with the inverse position they finished the championship with. First to 20th, 20th to first, and all the way through.
That is
the best reverse grid.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, best reverse grid.
I'm about to show you a photo here. This is you. I don't even know how to explain
I don't
it.
even know if this would be rapid.
Yeah, it's not going to be a rapid. We need a story time to
Okay.
this. This is a photo that was caught, but it was a story that you put on the F1 page instead of your own personal page.
Yeah,
What happened?
a whoopsie happened.
Here's
Yeah.
for the cameras.
So basically, all right. Here's a slide. I'll take a proper story as well. We can do a quick for the other one.
Yeah, you got this.
So I was on holiday, and again, it was first year of Formula One. You can see by the logo in there.
Oh, yeah, it's
that
an old logo.
it's old school logo.
Yeah.
And so, I thought I was on my own personal Instagram account, and I was by the pool again. I'd taken a video, and I think I was showing something else that was around, and then it finished on myself, and then I was laughing afterwards or something, and I rather unfortunately just got the wrong account, and so I didn't have internet where I was at the time, or data. So when I went back inside and got hold of Wi-Fi, I then thought, was that was from my account, wasn't it?
It's like that. initial
Yeah, like-
shock, yeah.
Let me just check. And I went my phone, I looked, and I could see it was uploading because I'd only just reconnected to the internet. I'm like, delete, stop it. And then, because you can't delete it while it's uploading.
Yeah. you have
So I
to
like
wait.
closed the app, thought maybe that's going to kill it off. And so checked on it, and no, of course it had gone up. I'm like, okay, well, take it down, delete, done. And so it really only been there for this, for a very, very short period of time.
Enough time, though.
But enough time
For it
because
to go viral.
when
pretty much.
you've got that many followers,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like someone's refreshing that time and it's going to pop in their feed. And so they, of course, screenshotted it. I mean, who wouldn't?
Like, who's this?
Yeah, this is exactly. And so I, basically I just immediately called or messaged the team back in the UK to say, hi, had a bit of an accident. I might explain the situation, and I was just lying flat on the floor, face down, thinking, "Oh my God, you haven't done this, really, have you, Dylan?" But yeah, I had. So I then just kind of, eventually composed myself and got a message back saying, "Hey, thanks for letting us know. Obviously not ideal, but thanks for telling us."
Yeah.
And sure enough, they then later did see it, like an hour later, because someone had screenshotted it. Thank you to whoever that was.
It's still on Reddit.
Yeah,
6,000 upvotes.
6, and maybe more after this.
Yeah.
And basically, it's a story I tell all my team to let them know that, look, it's okay to make a mistake.
Yeah.
As long as you can own it, put your hand up. In what company has ever done everything perfectly? What person has ever?
No.
It never happens. This was just a more public mistake.
Yeah.
My friend still knows you as the guy who posted. I was telling him, like, I'm gonna be on a podcast, and he was like, "Who?" I explained it. Oh, that's the guy.
That's the guy. Yeah. He's still around.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, Effie.
Sorry.
Let's get back to the quick questions again.
Which driver would you trust you to drive you blindfolded? The driver.
Oh, I saw Bottas post a video the other day of him blindfolded. Not him.
No.
Terrible.
Yeah, it would be Checo, or it would be, like I told you guys last time, either Daniel or Lando, because if you're gonna go out smiling.
Yeah.
Fantastic. The greatest driver of all time.
Jim Clark, hands down.
Nice. If you were an F1 driver, what team would you choose?
Red Bull.
Hey.
Who would you want as your teammate on the current grid? Like, if you were a driver.
If I was driving Max or Lewis, hands down, bring on the best. I want to know how far off I am, how bad I am.
Yeah.
If I'm actually quite good.
Yeah.
You could find out.
Who would you not want as your teammate?
Ooh. I wouldn't want... Oh, who's this? I'm sorry about this. I'm slow answer. I don't know who I bloody wouldn't want. There's no real lot. I wouldn't want, to be fair. Everyone I've interacted with is a lovely person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe I've got to get you an answer for some sort of night. I don't know.
Max or Lewis again, maybe?
beating
this
the other
is
one.
conflict for exactly what I say. I wouldn't want one of the new guys because, again, you just don't know yet.
Sure.
Yeah. Yep. What are some non-negotiable things you have for your inner circle?
In a circle, they're not flaky. Like, they respect my time and their time. They're again, truthful people, and they'll tell me exactly how it is. No sugarcoat it. Just I like that.
Record the podcast right the first time.
Yeah. Those are great friends.
My time.
Funniest Instagram comment or moment while you were running the F1 page?
Oof. I mean, the number of bois we used to get. Can't not love that.
Yeah, that's a classic.
Yeah.
Worst mistake people make when posting on social media.
Taking too long. They overthink. They think that everyone gives a crap about their process and how artistic and fancy they have their edit. More money does not equal more likes. I could get a video of Messi doing some kiki-uppies in a studio and it just being shot on a mobile phone.
Yep.
Or I could shoot it from a $100,000 camera that is looking insanely crisp. It's so beautiful, artsy, blah, blah, blah. And I tell you now, the video behind the scenes going like this, it would do better.
Love it.
Yep. What's one piece of F1 memorabilia you currently own or you would like to own?
So my grandfather's. My grandfather's car or my dad's cars from Stewart Grand Prix. I mean, obviously they're not mine.
Yeah.
But like that's in the family still, and we're never letting that go.
Nice.
Would you like to drive that? I'm sorry to...
100%. Yeah. No, never driven the car. No, haven't been trusted.
Yeah.
But no, I will drive it soon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe invite us. We can film you.
Yeah.
Can I come?
I just want to watch.
Yeah.
Most embarrassing moment you've had in a Grand Prix weekend?
Grand Prix weekend, I overslept when I was going to be working. I was at least in the UK at the time, the Australian Grand Prix. So first race of the year, it was my birthday the night before, but didn't go out, didn't drink.
Sure.
There was exactly
Sure.
Everyone. It's the one time you're like, if I had done it, I would not have been up at 7 a.m. the next day, going like, yeah. So it just unfortunately. Because again, your time zone difference, you get to the office at 2 a.m. UK time, and I had to drive 2 hours down to south of London to get to our remote operations facility. It's waking up and seeing light was not fun.
I can imagine.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Ooh, it's got to be teleportation. I mean, think how much time you save just flying around the world on. Think how green Formula 1 would be if you just bring everyone with you.
The whole truck.
There you go. Greenest sport in the world now.
Or even in the track, just pole position. Right away.
Yeah.
Imagine F1's job, social job. They're like, okay,
done.
Here, 2-second clips now.
Yeah, I think even Massey would have a way of getting away.
So that
what athlete would be a great fit? Or what actor or what celebrity would be a great fit?
Oh, as a driver?
Yeah.
To play a driver.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It would have to be a someone who's got that gentleman character to me. To me, the most gentleman driver, the most F1 driver in history was Francois Sever, my grandfather's teammate. So he was probably the most good-looking man to ever grace the paddock, and he was a driver. I mean, the guy, he could play piano beautifully. He has is a great picture of him in the car, like him looking out with his big blue eyes, and you just kind of go like, all right. He did a good bit of damage in his day, but someone who could play that character, like a Benedict Cumberbatch, something like that.
Michael Fassbender.
Yeah, Fassbender would be good too.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a racer too.
Yeah.
Share your prediction for the upcoming F1 season. Constructors, drivers, championship winners.
Constructors, drivers, championship. I think Red Bull won it again this year.
Yeah.
Like they dominated last season, and there's not that much evolution from the cars from last year. So
liveries too, no.
Yeah.
RB19.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, I think it'll be Lewis and Max fighting again, 100%.
Nice.
And I hope that Ferrari can get in the mix there, but I don't think they can turn things around from one season to the next that fast.
Yeah.
Amazing. Last question. You're writing an autobiography on your life. Which one of these titles best resonates with you?
Okay, you asked this question last time as well. Have the titles changed?
No.
Okay, well, I told you, like, I could
change them on the fly here.
On the fly, yeah.
On the fly? Okay, all right. The Daredevil, the Whimsical, the Dreamcatcher, the Free Spirit, the One Who Didn't Wake Up, the Hardest the Hardest Worker.
The One Didn't Wake Up.
Yeah, that's the one.
Absolutely.
Perfect. I love the honesty. Well, thank you, Dylan, for coming on once again. Again, just to wrap up the interview, we ask each guest, summarize in 30 seconds how you want to be remembered. What sort of legacy do you want to leave behind?
My rule in life is I want to make sure whatever I've done, at the end of the day, no one else could have done. The world looks different after I've left. So even if it's in a small, minute way, be great if it's a big way too. But something that, again, you could show people in history or the future generations, like, okay, that's something tangible that this guy did, or why they ask the question, who made that?
Yeah.
Oh, Dylan.
Amazing. And where can people find you on social media if they want to follow your journey?
In all the links that are appearing right
Yeah.
Nice, big, loud, extra.
Yeah.
Or on the F1 page.
Or on the F1 page. Amazing. Well, definitely, guys, we'll put Dylan's socials in our show notes. Please go and follow him. Thank you again for coming on. And if you were able to tune in here, thank you for watching this episode. It really does go a long way. We would love if you could drop a review on this episode and go and check out our other episodes on tracklimitspod.com and give us a follow on social media. We'll see you guys at the next episode.